Well, this is going to be a video. It's obviously a video. Fishing away the other year, caught a trout. A mate acted as a gilly, or landed it for me. I can hear a telephone in the background, must ignore it. You can't see it there, can you? And seems to be quite common, this. The end is screwed in and into your landing net pole. Oh, it came all loose and it fell off. Now this is a very nice net. The net's immaculate, well, apart from that bit. It's one of these rubber coated one, it's greys, but it's quite a big net. And I think the problem is the threaded bit, and the hole acts as an anti-rotation bit with the moulded, the plastic moulding bit here. I presume that is put in the mould at the same time, and it's moulded around the thready bit. And the hole there is supposed to be an anti-rotation device, otherwise it will just unscrew around its own thread that gets formed. But I can see that they're lifting the quite heavy trout out. Let's put a tiny little split there and there. I don't know, you probably can't see it. Where's the lens? It's very small. And giving it a bit of slack, and it's just fallen out. Well, I don't want to get rid of this net, and I've also found that at the minute greys don't seem to be marketing their nets. Pure Fishing up to their tricks again of stopping and starting different companies in their empire doing things. So I thought I'll try and salvage it. So this is a how-to, and hopefully how to salvage a landing net. Now luckily Greys have designed it so that you can unscrew it from the frame. It's an aluminium frame, so it's not moulded in as some are. Maybe it should be, maybe that bit should be made of metal, but it isn't. It's held in with some little self tappers that go into here and hold it still. You can see there's a groove around there. It's going to go. So let's put that down a minute. Now, a few fishing, let's get in the middle there. A few fishing trips earlier, I found that on the bank. It's got a slot in it. I didn't know what it was. It wasn't until mine broke with the hole in it that I realised, someone else has had it exactly. That was on a barbel fishery, so they're quite heavy and powerful. It's got exactly the same problem. But the Greys one, as you can see, is quite a bit bigger than that. So that, see, here's the same thread. These threads are pretty universal. They are 3/8 20 TPI BSF, British Standard Fine, that stands for, and which is a good old imperial size, and the fishing industry, angling industry has kept that. It hasn't ever metricized it. Not that, well, this is not that landing net's not that old. They're about 2 years old maybe. So they're still imperial. So I'm going to try and mend this and show you how I'm going to do it. I'm now going to take it down to the workbench. So you're going to see the vise and the various tools, but not me. Haven't got those facilities. So we got this bit, and that's the bit we got to try to rescue. So the net's been obviously put to one side, and we got the bits that came with it. Obviously that bit, there was an O-ring, rubber O-ring, and the adapt and the thread stud thing. Alright, well that was moulded round there and was obviously a reasonably tight fit. There was no way of you could glue that just straight back in the thread because of those splits, which I think I'll show you in a separate photograph. So this was actually quite shallow. I think you can, don't know, you probably can't see, but let's put that down a minute. There is, at the end of my fingernail here, there's a little dark mark, which is where the moulding ended. So where my fingernail is, there, so you can see it, is how deep it was in here. So that deep. And there's obviously much more room potentially for that to go. So my plan is, I've now done this little bit, there's the thread I've drilled out, and that's a 3/8 thread, as I said, and 3/8 is 9 point something millimeters. I can't remember exactly. I should know because I'm a mechanical engineer, but I've forgotten. I know it's 9 point something millimeters. And so I'll put a 10mm drill down and drilled it out, and a little bit deeper. So now it is that deep. It's another about an 1/8 inch deeper than it was originally. Let's get this light right. Got the light into one side of me. It's not so easy in the shed. So what my intentions was, well, let's just go back to the anti-rotation thing. It's all about that anti-rotation thing, because that will also help to stabilise it in that old moulding. Now that hole just happened to be the same size as this old tent peg, which I've measured at 4mm, which is probably metric. Oh, that's a nice fit in there. So I bunged a 4mm drill down it because there was a few burrs. It didn't go through all the way first time. A 4mm drill was a nice snug fit. So light pressure, it sticks. So that's exactly 4mm. So I bored it out. And my intention is probably using the O-ring that came with it, which I take it is for the landing net pole, to go around and compress that to make it well, to stop it, but not to stop dead. It's what I'm going to try and do. So I've already drilled that out, 10mm deep, nice clean hole. I think can you see that down there? Get the light right, I don't know. But anyway, it is. I'm going to use that hole and use something like a metal bar. Might even use this tent peg, I don't know. I have some stainless steel rod, I don't know what diameter is, and drill a hole through that surface there at the right depth, well, halfway through. Then I'll put this in there, and I'll, like with the drill, I'll then feed it through, and so that this aligns perfectly, and then push it and drill it right through and come out the other side. Now this, if you look, I don't know if you can see properly against that blue background, see, it's not truly square to the axis of the thread. It's slightly, oh, about 1 degree. Doesn't sound much, but it's enough. You can't use a well, you've basically got to drill it through the existing hole. There's a technical term for doing that. I can't remember what it is. So that's what I'm going to do. So how are we going to do this? I've got to hold this somehow. And the trouble is, I prefer to drill through here, that side, but there's not a lot of room there for a clean hole to go through. The drill might slip off. But the trouble is, the crack is here. But, well, it's got. But that's easier. It's a nice. That is actually a flat surface there. See it? You can see it reflected as a flat surface, where that is obviously a curved surface. So I need to lay that on there and drill through it. So I need to do that is to put it in the vise. Let's put it this way around. Probably you can see better that way around. I don't know. No, probably this way. More room. I haven't got the lighting in the way, and that is a octagonal, so the vise it can go on these two flats here in soft jaws, obviously, and don't over tighten it. Make sure it's level. Just pinch it gently. Now I'm going to look at my head and look in that direction to make sure it is level. So I drill reasonably square. So now with that 4mm drill, what I've done with it there, I'll lay that on top of there at the depth of the O-ring, so the O-ring touches that surface like that, I look down to make sure it's in the middle of those two lines of the flat of the octagon, which would be the centre line of the hole, like that. Now with a by hand, I'm just going to make a mark with this drill, rotating it hopefully. Ah, it won't rotate, it's too stiff. Alright, let's pause it there a minute. While I was away, I put some white tape on there, and with a felt tip pen, this is a permanent marker type one, I showed the edges so I know where the centre line of that flat is. With the bit itself, push it again in there all the way down to the bottom so I know where the bottom is, so the O-ring acts as a stop. Get it out again. My intention is to put that down using a marker pen. I've already done it here. The filming stopped, I didn't realise I was talking to myself. Mark the end of the drill so it makes a little mark, and then with that, using the O-ring as a stop, put that on there between the two lines, looking down on it, square as possible. And you just put it down there, rotate it round, and on the white it will leave a mark. Now, good drilling practice is, even though that's a 4mm hole, is to use a smaller drill. This happens to be a 2mm or an imperial drill, to act as a starting point, and carefully start it on the mark. I've already drilled this hole again, so only go halfway through into the hole, don't go out the other side. Right, so now we change it for the 4mm hole, 4mm drill, sorry. Come on, wrong way. That's it. Now, using the pilot hole, we drill through again, only halfway. There we go. This obviously is plastic and it drills through there with the greatest of ease. Right, leaving the 4mm drill in the drill. Now comes the tricky bit. Will this work? I'll put that in there. I'm still filming, yeah. I'll put that in there. Go in there, or does it need to be? I don't know, that's, make sure it's aligned, I don't know. Might have to just put the drill down there, and it was, oh, I can see it, aha. Yes, I have to hold it like that. This is a tricky bit. This is where it all goes wrong or not. See, I've been wasting my time trying to save this drill. Right. We had a little problem just then. The camera stopped working and it's getting too hot. So in the meantime, I've charged it up and we'll have a look down this hole again. Now I can see the hole down there, so if I hold it, just get the drill, so hopefully it will go through the hole, won't snag. Now, I assume I'm going through it, yeah, it's back. Are we going through? Do it nice and high speed, so get rid of any, make sure the hole's nice and smooth. There we go. That went through. Good, good, good. Just trying to catch the swarthy stuff. Now, don't know if this will go through. Let's take it out of there and have a look underneath, see what it's done. Oh yeah, that's reasonably, it's not bad. It's not perfectly centered, but it's not bad. I suspect I need to get this swarf out of there. Can you see? Hold it over that lighter coloured surface. Now what I need to do now is to, I haven't let go of this because that the stud here, you know, that hole that went through the metal stud, it was not exactly square to the axis of the thread. I'm going to mark, let's go back over this way, mark this round, and I'll mark that, just a few lines across there like that, so I know which way is this side. Otherwise it will never go through if I do it that way round. Yeah, it's left some marks on me, see. Alright, so let's have a look. That hole clean. Let's see if it'll go through there first. That should go through there at 4mm. Oh yeah, look at that. Look, if you look at that, that is not square, is it? Look. That's an angle. Where's the lens? Exactly, get square on here. See? Doesn't matter, it went through it, so get that out and put it back through again with that's the upright side. Hopefully as a permanent marker it won't rub off. That should go, there we go, see, look at that. Now there's no way now that that's going to come out, so the next thing is to make a choice of what to actually use in there. Do I use this, which is a zinc coated thing, and rivet it over, but riveting it over to pin the ends over on plastic is probably not a good idea with a hammer. So I might see if I can, oh I don't know, I might find an M4 bolt or something maybe, and put a nut either side. That would never come undone then. I'm not sure what I've got in my many things I have got. Or a bit of stainless steel rod. I don't know. But anyway, the main thing was to prove I could do that. So that there's no way that's going to undo now. Even though I have to glue it. That will be with an industrial type epoxy. Let's put some more of that stuff on there. Make sure that that does show up. So the next thing is to see what I've got in my stores. So that's proved the concept of that. The next thing I say is gluing it and making that a permanent fixing. I don't really want to wreck this because I've got a use for this. It's hanging on the shed wall with my tools. I can't remember quite what I used it for, but obviously had a purpose, so I don't really want to wreck it. So I'll leave that there. Right. It's time to go to my model railway club. I'll come back to this tomorrow and have a think and continue filming there on. So I've had a look around and my stainless steel rod is nowhere near 4mm. Bought it to actually create a line guide on a centre pin reel that doesn't have one, but it's not, that's nowhere near enough. I don't like the idea of cutting, say, a bit of this off and then hammering it over on plastic. It'll probably make the plastic crack worse. So what I did find was some knob screws. A little short one like that and a long one. They're not stainless, but they're quite well zinc plated and passivated with that goldy yellow colour. So that'll go through there. And use a nylock and a washer on the other side. So that should go through there alright, I think. There you go, look at that, straight through. And an adhesive to glue this in, and that's why they because that's a 3/8 thread, and I put a 10mm drill down. That's deliberately to give the glue somewhere to have some glue, rather than a very tight fit. You've got to have some glue. Intimate contact faces with glue don't work. They have to have a glue bond thickness. Something I learned at work back in the 1980s. Right, so I had two potentially useful glues, adhesives. It's a corrector. These are quite old, but that one, I'm sure people have heard of this one, which gives, and I'm just testing it out, just make sure it's still liquid enough to use, and nice black colour. That matches quite well with the, there it is, see, with the plastic moulding. Not that that matters at all, but it does. And another one I found is also JB, which is plastic bonder. But when I took it open the end, even though this is a much more recent glue, this is back from the right 1990s, I think this is still going. This is much more recent, and one of the hardener or whatever it is, or well, one of them anyway, is solid. I even tried to poke it with a thin screwdriver, see if it was just capped over. No, can't get it. You can't use it at all, so forget that. But that's a potential use. I presume one would bond to the metal better and one would bond to the plastic better. But this stuff has got a reputation for gluing basically anything, and is very, very strong, which is what you want on a very tiny, short thread with a hell of a bending moment on it. When you lift it out or fish out with a landing net handle, puts a hell of a lot of strain on there. That's why the damn thing cracked a bit in the first place. Anyway, so I'll be using that. That's all I've got, apart from normal everyday Araldite. So what you need to do next is to prepare the metal thread, because it's obviously had been used for other things. So I'll take it out. Now, remember there's the marks, the dark marks. Where is it? You see that on my hand? To tell me that that's the one upright, and the white tape tells me that's the upright, if you like, for the moulding. So they match. So what first thing I like to do is to, in case there's any greasy type stuff, and that is to clean the thread with some solvent. And the best one for that is probably acetone, also used, which is very similar to nail varnish remover. But you can also use isopropyl, though I wouldn't recommend terps or petrol, because they always leave, even though they do degrease, they leave a residue of their own. It's never quite. So acetone evaporates very, very fast, so it's always wise to put this top on. Again, I'll just rub the end for the full depth. It's best to push it against the edge with your fingernail into the thread and rotate it. Then your fingernail gets down into the thread itself, the flanks of the thread, not just the crest at the top. Well, it's still going to be very shiny. I think the black there is probably the rubber, which is old. You can always replace the O-ring if it's too knackered with something you probably put on the garden hose pipe connector on the tap on the wall. So anyway, there we go. That's cleaned out the thread. Yeah, so that's that bit done. Now, something probably most people won't think of, make sure that black mark is still there, don't lose it. Always wise to put that, well, no, I'll leave it for the time being, so I know. Now, something you won't probably ever think of, but I am as a mechanical engineer and know about electroplating and all that sort of thing, is that stainless steel, which this is, and there are 3 types, but I have no idea which one this is. There's martensitic, ferritic, and austenitic. Apart from that, I don't actually know what the properties are without looking it up. But what you want to do is that is very shiny, and glue or things won't stick to very polished surfaces very well. They could give. You want it to actually bond and grip it. Now, one thing I did notice when I've been working on my Harley in past years, with lots of shiny stainless steel polished stuff, is when you get the odd bit of rust on some frame joint and it drips onto the stainless steel, it will sometimes leave a dark mark, which you can then polish out again with some metal polish. But that is basically what it's doing, is what's known as passivation, and it is burning the surface and burning off any impurities, which are often nice in stainless steel, left often behind by, i.e. in this case, by, say, that's a male thread, so it may be the dye, and these things are not stainless steel, and microscopic bits you can't see of the dye, the thread, can be left and rubbed off and left behind, and that in due turn can go rusty, and passivation was invented to burn those off, to leave the pure stainless steel so they don't go rusty and the customer complains. But what I've got here is the best rust killing product ever, better than cure rust by a country mile. It's Genolite. Halfords used to sell this stuff. It's hard to find now, but it's a proper rust. It actually kills the rust and removes the rust. You wipe it off and the rust is gone. It doesn't convert it to some oxide black, it actually removes it. So what it might do, I'm going to go through the motions of doing this and leave it on there for like half an hour or so. You just coat that end of the thread, and that will hopefully, it shouldn't harm the rubber. Rubber's pretty inert in acid. That's why when the plating shop you often wear rubber boots. Just leave that in there and let that do its thing. I'll leave it there. It won't harm the, in fact if I put some on there anyway, that'll probably clean that surface up, which is bare cast steel, machined, used a bit like an anvil. I'll just leave it there and come back in half an hour. So I can stop it there. I'll see you in a while and see what happens. Well, I've given it a good half an hour. So you have to reactivate the surface by giving it a rub. So and just wipe it off. Probably will make no difference whatsoever, but it's got two chances, isn't it, as they say. So let's clean that up. Could have cleaned that bit of jaw up there, couldn't I? Never mind. See, you give it a rub and it does take something off because it's a bit grey. See? Now, if it was just the product, it would be pink. It isn't. It's grey, so it does something. But whether it works on stainless steel, I don't know. It doesn't really harm your hand. Just give them a quick wash after you've done it. See, that comes off pink. Turn that round, get a clean bit. You can actually wash this in the sink. This stuff, it does wash off with water, and as it's stainless it won't go rusty again. Whether that's dulled that down a bit, I don't know. Not really, I don't think. Well, some stainlesses that doesn't work. I know British Standard S80 stainless certainly isn't actually that fully stainless. That's why the official term for stainless steel is called corrosion resisting. It's not corrosion proof. Probably going to have to use in the tent peg again and push that out. See, comes out with a nice little pink maggot. Yeah, I have to wipe that off, won't do it any harm. Well, this stuff will take off zinc plating, by the way. So if you do ever use anything zinc, it can remove it because it is acidic. Yeah, I think I'm going to give that a little wash in the sink to get the residues of it deep in the crests of the thread. So I'll come back to that. Right, so we washed off the pink Genolite gunge. Instead of making it duller, it seems to have made it, oh there we are, actually made it what looks like shinier compared with the other side. never mind, it's clean at least, we know that, and there's no grease or residue on it. I've now put some gloves on because we'll be messing about with that JB Weld epoxy adhesive, and it always seems to get some on you somewhere, so I don't like the stuff on my hands if I can help it. I've remarked that deep down so I know which way is the up one. I just realised that the screw holes for holding the net frame in are only on one side, so we don't actually need that bit of tape anymore, so I'll take that off because we're going to put some glue in there now. Put that out of the way to one side, over there. So whole side is the whole side, the insertion side. So I need to make up some glue because this could get messy because it's obviously going to ooze out of these holes when I'm trying to put the screw through. So right, so where are we? Oh, you can see me. It's quite old, this glue. I not have enough, rather than not enough. Then it's probably an excuse to buy some more later on. This could be 20 years old for all I know. Oops. And the stuff I did earlier as a test that has set, so it's not like, because sometimes very old epoxies, they tend to not set properly and they stay sticky forever, and that's no good. Now the black component of this, because they just call that steel. It's quite hard, it's quite dense, so which is a good thing, I suppose, but it's got to be the same length, isn't it? Oh, it's tough old stuff. Get it off like that. Most people know how to mix these things together, but it's all part of the video, isn't it? I presume you can see me because I'm standing on one side. Okay. Just notice that the hardener I'm using, that isn't actually the original. It's actually from old proper araldite. See, araldite. Well, it seems to work, so it will do. Trouble, you never use loads of this stuff. You buy for a little job, and then you've got tons left over that might be sitting in a drawer for decades. Sometimes you can't use it, and it's still all right, and sometimes one component has gone off. Oh, it's a funny smell. Very fishy. Yeah, very fishy. Gone all fish it smells like. Right, now it's going to get messy, isn't it? So bung some down the hole first. Make sure the hole is, of course it is clean, the hole, because I drilled it out, so it drills into fresh plastic, so there is no residue in there. I know someone's banging about in the house behind me. What's he doing? Right, so you put it in there. Oh. Let's put some more in there. Now it will push it down, hopefully it'll squeeze up the side of the thread. And I'll put some on the thread as well. Where is it? There it is. Leave the O-ring in place, that'll help hopefully stop it oozing out up the top of the thread. Don't want it blocking that thread off, because this stuff's very strong apparently. Get on there. I'll keep the acetone handy because that'll help. That's what we use at work for clearing up glue. Epoxy stuff, using sticking magnets on motors. Now, I'm not going to put any of the stuff down the hole because I don't think that's necessary. Put some on the end. Right. Holding it somewhere for 5. There's the mark. There's the blue mark. See, I black blue mark. So I'll just hold this, I suppose. Do this. This could ooze out all over the place. And shove it down there. Slowly. Now that starts to come out the hole, see? Keep pushing. At least it gives it somewhere to expand to. Oh, look at that. It's coming out both sides, see? Make sure that's in there. Give it a little side to side movement to work its way into the joints. That will probably flow in there anyway, naturally, hopefully. So now, wipe it off. Yes, powerful old stuff, this. You can see there. Put it down like. Don't want it getting on the picking up grot. So now I need a bit more acetone, which is over here. Always right, if you buy acetone, don't buy small amounts of it. It evaporates so fast you can lose it very quickly. Let's get it out of here. I've got my glove now, so that takes it off. It's making a mess. Doing this just to keep the mess down so it don't end up all over the place. Because I know this stuff's going to ooze out. And what I'm going to do, rather than put the thread through, I'm going to push it out and line it up with this. Oh, now look, comes out the other side. Ah, look at that amount coming out. I'll move it away. Look at that. There's a worm. Put it on there. So you lose half the glue you're putting in, you see. Alright. Put it down. Yeah. See, it's not that square, is it? Look at that. You see it? It's what an angle. Oh well, it is what it is. Doesn't matter. Pull it out. That there, remote. So get this old. Turn it over. Put a bit more acetone on there. Keep things clean. Before you end up getting over other equipment over your clothes and everywhere else. Okay, get that out of the way. Now, I shall put the screw through. Now, if you look through there, you should be able to see that's a clean hole. Where is it? You should see the blue glove there, so it's a nice clean hole. So that should just go. It's got a washer built in this side. This screw. It is a screw, not a bolt. It's threaded up to the head. But it's irrelevant because actually a bolt are probably better. Now I pushed it through, and luckily there's no glue on there worth talking about. Now I'll put the washer on, put the nut on, and with a nut driver, which I've had these for years. So it's a 4mm thread, metric thread. This is a 7mm nut driver. Very useful, a lot easier. What I'll have to do, I suppose, is because I can't hold it and hold the thread. Put it like that. Happens to be a Phillips screw. Oh, it's the other way around. Not a posi, even though a posi is a Phillips as well, but that's a sort of like a Mark II. This is the original. Hold it and we'll do it up. And I can cut the thread to length once it's all nice and dry, but not at the minute. A nut driver is a lot easier than a spanner. It'd be there forever. And you don't need to be super tight because you might damage the plastic by compressing it too much. Just feel it nip up and leave it like that. So obviously you don't. That can be cut off with a slitting saw on a Dremel type thing, or a small hacksaw later. Have vice. Can use whatever I want. So now I need to wipe the glue off. I think it might be a good idea to get rid of that with scrape it off with a a thin screwdriver like this. Put some more acetone on it. Evaporates real quick. And go around here and loads of glue, see, coming off. So, just get it reasonably clean, because the O-ring that isn't meant to be a permanent thing, and if I leave it there, it'll get stuck with the glue, won't it? So just use that as a scraper. Get that off onto the acetone like that. Now, should be able to pull the O-ring off. Get it off. Get the glue off. Don't want it getting on the thread too much, because it'll block it after running it down with a well. If the thread does get blocked, it's always wise, I think, if you're an angler, to actually purchase one of these to clean up your threads on bank sticks and landing net handles and nets, and because they're all the same thread, 3/8 20 BSF. Remember, you won't probably find it in a hardware shop anymore, any Imperial stuff, but you certainly find it on the internet. So I've got a tap and a die, male and female. It's always something that's worth having your armoury of tools. Right, just wipe the O-ring, get the worst off. It's not going to be perfect, but it'll do. It's only meant to be a squidgy thing to act like a buffer, so I'll put that to one side. Put down there, out of the way. And then we can go around here again, getting all this stuff off. Of course, being black, it won't notice, will it? It'll just look like So I'll give it another wipe with this. A proper cloth would be better, I think. But a bit more acetone on there. Wipe around there. A bit more. It's quite stiff, this glue, it's quite thick, which is good because I don't want it running out the joint, do I? You can get acetone online. One time you probably would have got it from Boots the Chemist. That's why they were called the Chemist, because you could get chemicals. Now they're called Boots the Pharmacist. I think people making bombs with various chemicals they've sold was not, they were told to stop selling them. So what can we see? Against my blue gloves so you can see it better. It's not perfectly square, but I'm sure it'll be pretty damn strong. It's not going to be perfect. I think that slight cock up, it's on the cock slightly. I think I know why. It's because I drilled that hole 10mm, and this is like a 9 point something. It allowed it to wobble a bit, and it went over a slight cock when I was drilling it through. Instead of being perfectly square like that, the float in the hole allowed it to boop. But you live and learn. It's only to yeah, I expect probably only do this once in my life, and this is the time. So if you're doing this as a job to repair other people's equipment, you'll probably remember this sort of thing. So you only get one chance at it. That'll be alright. So now I'll just leave it to dry. Gluing those threads, is there? Well, as I said, I can wait for it to dry rather than keep poking it about. Yeah, and run a dye down it. If you've got one, I recommend you get one. So I'll cut that off. That takes 6 to 5 hours to dry or something, this stuff. So I'll leave it there. Oh, actually I'll put it in there. I know where it is then. Don't want to lose it. Put it there. Not too tight in a vise. Make sure the glue is off the end of this screwdriver. You can see it's tenacious stuff. Don't want to come off too easy. Right. Come back to that later, I suppose. Cut that thread off. Well, the glue seems to have dried now on my little bits that I mixed it together. Tapped that and it sounded pretty rock solid. So I think it's probably dry enough I can now cut this thread off. But I think you're supposed to use it like 24 hours before you actually use it. So I'm not going to use a saw because that'll put too much rocking, might make the thread move about too much, which could not do the joint any good, because it may appear to be solid but it might not be fully solid, especially down inside there where there's less air around it. I don't know. So I'll put it in there in the vise and I'm going to cut this off with a Dremel thingy and a slitting saw thing. I think this is a very old Dremel, probably better than any ones you can get these days. It's actually got 2 bearings in the head, not 1. Got this about 1991, before they became popular. So let's have a look. Do this very slowly, just a little bit off. Get your hand on there to get some rigidity, so it's not wobbling about like that. Let's see, it'll be noisy, I expect this will. That shows its age when it's noisy, because the bearings, they're only in a plastic bearing cage, sort of, not cage, well, mount. Come on. That's hot. Seems to have done it. Don't know where the hot bit went. Probably melted through some plastic bit underneath. Oh, now with a very fine file, smooth it off. It's like a knife, this file, strange thing, but it's very fine. Very fine. Actually, it's fine enough to do your fingernails with, actually. Yeah, easy. Probably not the right file for doing this. Let's have a look. Can't see it like that. Oh yeah, it needs a bit. Probably needs a. This one's probably a bit better. Yeah. Yeah, you can actually hear it. Don't need to really video this bit, but you're here now, so what a difference it makes. Just getting rid of any sharp burrs. Don't want anything cut in the fishing line, do you? Getting wrapped around that little bit round there and going on a sharp edge. So, losing something at the net. Make sure you run your thumb over it and that and check for anything sharp. The good reason any of it properly deburred is your fishing line getting caught on it. That's a no-no. Let's use this fine one again. That's almost as smooth as emery, smoother than most emery cloth. More like wet and dry. That sort of thin blade there can actually get in the thread itself. If you want to take the nut off, make sure the thread is fully formed. Again, feel it? Alright. A little bit just there. This is not the proper way to file, but you can't do it with this little stubby bit. Sharp again now. Oh, yeah. Trouble with threads is they're V's, they're naturally sharp. You've got to try to dome that over. A bit like that, that's what you want. See that dome shaped. That's really what you want. Anyway, you get the gist. You just fiddle around, fettling. The technical word is fettling, doing this sort of thing. Fiddling and fettling. Yeah. Oh, I've got a bit of emery here. Garnet paper actually. Just put it on the end and look at that. This is well old. This is. Goes on forever. There you go. Yeah, that's alright, that's better. Yeah, there's no sharp edges there now. Good. So what I will probably do, I won't bother filming that, is I'll put some paint primer over that, because obviously that isn't stainless, so that'll go be a rusty dot very pretty damn quick. And over there. So, what can, I know what I was going to show you. Yeah, yes. Because of those cracks, which obviously was the spreading of the crack that caused this to fall out in the first place, it was just there and there. I did think, you could always put a Jubilee clip round there. But when you start looking at well, it's actually a Terry clip, but it's a bit like calling a Dyson Hoover. We always call them a Jubilee clip, no matter what other brand it is. They're far too chunky. Look, they overlap. It only goes half the way across. No good at all. But there is an alternative, but I haven't got the right size. This is bigger than I thought it is. Are these things? Now these are French. Ooh. And they're called Hop 5. And I use them on my motorbike for holding the fuel pipes on, rather than those crimp things which are horrible. You can take these on and off every time you want to service the bike. This is the original one. It's round, as you can see. It's got a round turret with a small hex. That's a really weird 4.5mm drive. Very rare to find. So I actually bought some sockets to fit those. And the drive and the band used to be perforated thread like that. Then they stopped making this one. Maybe it was weak or something, and brought out this version. And the threaded is now call it knurled, I suppose. It's pressed rather than perforated. Anyway, they are much thinner, as you can see, and that would fit on there. Do you see? I don't know. There is enough room to fit one of those, but I haven't got. You can see, look on the end. It's nowhere near big enough, is it? There's no way that's going to stretch over that. So anyway, there is an idea there, but I'd have to find a source, because these are not easy to find. They're a very French company and they don't advertise much. There was actually standard fitment on Renault cars when my mother had a Renault 19, I think it was, or 9. So that's how I discovered those. And when the dealer closed down, I bought their whole supply. What they had left. For not a lot of money. But they're all the small size. They do a bigger size. Okay, for oil pipes. But even that is still not. It's only like a couple of millimeters bigger. But it's still not big enough for that. So I don't know. Wrap wire around it, twist it. Something like that, I don't know. Something metallic that constricts. But hopefully I don't need to. So we can see if we can put it back in. Oh no, I was going to show you. I didn't bring it with me, did I? Damn. Anyway, O-ring, O-ring, O-ring. O-ring goes next. That's right, that goes on there. And stays on there. It actually belongs to the net, like that. And this is a quick change adapter, or at least it's the male half of it. If anyone, well, you're obviously into angling, you'll be watching this. It's made by, or the official one is, the proper one is Prologic, and they're superb. Yeah, that goes up there. I won't force it because it might try pulling it out. So I'll just do it, nip it up, no more. And that goes into a female end. I'll go and get the female end. I'll pull. Right, now we're filming again. Good, good, good. Right, well, this is the Prologic system. This is the female one. And that again, the 3/8 BSF, screws into your bank stick landing net pole, which this is. Yeah, it's one of these oh, you can see that. Oh, it fits under the camera. Good. Drennan Super Specialist. This is the big one. They do 2 versions, and it's excellent for fly fishing because you can reach about 15 foot in the air to retrieve your fly caught in the tree behind you. So there it is there, see, stuck in there. You leave it in there permanently. And the reason I've started doing this is because when you get your fly stuck in a tree, you can either put the net up there to hook the fly back down, hoping the hook bit is, the barb is visible, or, not the barb, the point. The other thing I like to do is if it really stuck up there, you put one of these up there, and it's actually a weed cutter, but that again is permanently, I'll leave it on there all the time, and it's as quick as this. Pull it back, click, you're in. Or the net, change it back to the net, and you put the net in, and it's as, oh, that's not the real one, is it? That's not a real one. Anyway, so I need to change that for a proper Prologic one. That's one of the Chinese copies. You can tell the difference actually while you're here. Just look at the size of those, what is known as detents. I'll put that there. If you look, the real one, which is this one, has got very small, called detents. They're little balls on springs that fit, and the copy one is much bigger. And they don't fit. Well, no, that should fit. I don't know. Well, I don't want to push it too much because I'm obviously affect the glue, won't I? I don't want to do that. Anyway, well, that's what that's for. Highly recommended piece of kit, that. So we can actually put this net back together now, can't we? I'm still looking. Yeah, I think so. So there's the net frame. So that should go. There's a D-shaped anti-rotation in there, so that should just go in. Hang on, where's the holes? Oh, there are holes here. Ah, there they go. Let's get it the right way around. Yes, there are holes in the frame. I forgot when I showed you first time, they weren't. I had it upside down. There we go. And the other side there and there. So obviously this has got to be that way around, so the screw holes align. So put that in there. That one should go in there. Should do. Go on. God, there's a funny angle in it. Got to. Go on. Get in there. There you go. Put it on your lap and pull. There we go. So now these little screws. What size screwdriver do I need for that? A little posi. No, a little. I don't know. Just try the normal, like everyday one. Phillips. I can't remember. Let's see what fits best. Put that back in there. Is that a Phillips? Well, it fits. So do an angle. Yeah, Phillips fits. On some smaller sizes, you're never too sure if it's a Phillips or a posi. There you go. Do one this side as well. That goes in there right. Don't want the screw getting lost in this shed. I get lost and lots of always stuff on the floor. There we go. Cool there, isn't it? I'm trying to get an angle, see. Mind you, there's nothing special about putting a screw in a hole, is there? I'm sure anyone watching this can do that anyway. No special skill required except getting it nice and square and not going in at a cockeyed angle, otherwise known as cross thread, especially in a self-tapper. You can only go and tap its own hole so many times. Never over tighten a self-tapper. It'll just cut its own thread, and before you know it, you've drilled a hole and you haven't got a thread anymore. You just nip them up. Check this. Just nip it up and nip. Get in there. Voila, one net back together again. Can't see it properly like that. So hopefully I'll just take that back indoors where I've got my modelling bench from my other hobby of model railways and all my paints there, and touch these over with a bit of aerospace primer, which I'm not going to explain all over again. Acid etch special stuff. It's pretty bomb proof. So there we go. Hope that might save someone's net. Thanks for watching. Ooh. Yeah. Where is it? Hang on. Have a look at him. Oh, he's a nice one, isn't he? Looks more like a small salmon. Bring him in there, right? You bring him over here, I can land him. Okay. In my new net that I'm trying to film anyway. No, sorry, not new net, old net. Get him down here. Oh yeah, great, filmed it. Now, what you do is you lift it out more like, oh, he's heavy, isn't he? Hang on. Let's try to do this one hand. Hang on, got it. There you go. Bring him over there then. Where is he? Oh, yes. Oh, he's got to be 4. Isn't he? Fatter one of mine, a little bit fatter. Anyway. Move the net over a bit, then we can make sure we can see him. So that's good. That's 2 trout this thing's landing now. That's all right. You want to hold him up then? Oh, he's still alive. Yeah. I won't film it being killed.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't do that.
No.
We'll do that and then hold him up, shall we? What's a weird mouth? Look, it's got a bit of a...
I'll pause then while you...
But funny enough...
Continue then.
He didn't fight as much as the first one.
No. Well, I let mine fight. I deliberately just let it and just waited for something to happen, and all of a sudden it's roared off down the lake.
You're not recording?
Yeah, why?
What, now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, you've done the coup de grace.
I was going to say something.
What's that nasty? They're slippery things, aren't they? But they're not slimy. So look, okay, well done, Bob. That's quite a nice fish, isn't it? Yeah, well done, mate. So